The weather. It's good, it's bad, it's very bad, but like it or not, it's one of the few things in this world that sticks around forever. It's undeniable that some weather is less ideal than others, so this video will serve as an open letter to Mother Nature. Here are some suggestions for what to add to the queue. Now, I'm fully aware that just saying weather tier list doesn't make a ton of sense, and I'm not really gonna elaborate. I make the rules, and if it's on this tier list, it should be there because I said so. I've grown to appreciate rain a lot more recently. As a kid, it's awesome. I remember just going into the backyard during a downpour and just squirming around. Funnest thing ever. I don't know if it's because people have phones or fancy clothes or whatever, but it seems like nowadays everyone just despises getting wet. I definitely went through that phase as well, but recently, whenever there's any kind of rain, I'm like, man, this is cool. I see it as a plus that people are off their phones, and there's something so real about letting yourself get messy a little. Next time there's a rainstorm outside, relive the good old days and go squirm around. A tier. But don't get me wrong, not all forms of being wet are equal. And I think the idea of humidity is really funny. Like being sweaty is simply the default, and there's no point in drying off because uh-oh, you're wet again. It's not too humid around me most of the time, and when I have gone to more damp places, I haven't noticed too much. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I am always right. We'll go medium. The fog is coming. Fog is such a crazy concept, and I see two possible reasons for why it exists. Number one, clouds get tired of flying all the time and need to come down for a break. Number two, just more proof that we live in a simulation. This means the big computer is overheating, so they turn down the render distance, or the developers need to patch up an area without being noticed. Whatever the case, I think it's pretty awesome. Just the other day, it was so foggy, and I was just guessing where to drive, and in less than a second, it all disappeared. I simply drove out of the cloud, and it looked like any other night. I legit started hysterically laughing alone in my car like a crazy person because it was just so cool. S tier. Having all this water in the air can have a pretty wild side effect. Rainbows. I get that these are kind of just normal for most people, but genuinely it's a crazy thing that these just exist out of nowhere. It's easy to imagine why rainbows are tied to so many stories involving magic, because that might just be what they are. A tier. Now, just plain sunny totally changes its ranking depending on the time of the year. In the summer, when it's already insanely warm, having no clouds around you to shield you from the heat and burns can be brutal. But in the colder months, the sun gives you just a little boost to stay strong. So it's anywhere between B and E tier. Then there's a ton of way to classify the sky as you add more clouds, and I think this is a similar deal. Depending on the temperature and the time of year, clouds can be a good or bad thing. We'll just do the same thing, I guess. Then snow is an interesting one. It seems like everyone's opinions on snow totally depend on where they live, but I think I've had a nice balance to be decently unbiased. I used to just bandwagon with people and say winter sucks, meh, because obviously it's super cold, it makes it inconvenient and hard to move around, and I gotta scrape off my car to get anywhere. But after taking a little step back, I've actually started enjoying snow a whole lot over the past couple years. It floats down so nicely and it looks super cool up close or far away. And you can just fall over whenever you want and be totally fine. It's basically unlimited building material and it's fun to slide around on in all sorts of ways. But the best part for me is I can finally have some peace and quiet. Snow just absorbs all the sound around it, so when you walk outside, you kind of just lock in with nature. Really cool stuff, but because it's too easy to blind or freeze yourself, we'll knock it down to B tier. Now, I think most people can agree at this point that early to mid-fall is one of the nicest and most pleasant vibes around. You get to start wearing cozy clothes, and the visuals of the leaves changing colors and falling is straight up beautiful. Easy S tier. The problem comes like a month later when all the leaves are gone, there's not really snow yet, and for some reason it's so freaking windy. The wind and the overall grayness of the world somehow combo into the coldest time of the year. I don't know if it's because people aren't ready for it yet or if it's just me, but these late fall days feel significantly more chilly than when it's actively snowing outside in the winter. This is one of the least appealing times for me to go outside, and I'm being too nice so far. So it's gotta go down in F tier. Wind as a whole doesn't have to be just a negative though. When it's cold, it just makes your face hurt, but there's apparently a whole bunch of kinds of wind with all sorts of goofy names. A little gust or squall isn't too bad if it's warm outside. It doesn't really affect things other than a little branch swaying and an overall volume up in your surroundings. So I would say B, but as a kid, I would just get disappointed that it was never strong enough for me to fly. D tier. But as the wind gets stronger and stronger, we start to get into the category extreme weather. Natural disasters are some of the most wild things ever. I'm ranking these as if they were happening with nobody around and judging them purely based on how cool they are. I don't really understand how tornadoes even exist. Wind just blows hard enough in a flat area and decides to do a little spin move. Simply insane that this is a naturally occurring thing, but it's gotta be at least A tier. Tropical cyclones are the technical term for when a tornado eats too much wind and gets really large, then becoming a hurricane/typhoon. You can see these from way out in space, and they are some of the most intense storms on the planet. All over this area, you got a bunch of lightning and wind spiraling at speeds upwards of 150 miles per hour, with a dedicated hangout spot right in the middle there. While these are without a doubt next level and have 3 super rad nicknames, my main problem with typhoons is that you can't really see it. If you're in the middle of one, you're squinting your eyes and all you can see is sideways rain and trees. You can't watch the funny spiral in action like you could with a tornado. We'll go C tier. Seeing a tsunami, on the other hand, would be one of the craziest experiences ever. Just watching a wave as big as a skyscraper slowly come towards you would make you feel pretty small for sure. Although apparently a tsunami can be a couple inches tall and still count, as long as it was caused by an earthquake. I don't really know if these even count as weather at all. It kind of happens under all these other ones. Floods are often the aftermath of tsunamis and hurricanes, and while they can make things look cool, it gives an unfair nerf to land animals and messes with the fish too once the flood drops. D tier. Regardless of the actual weather going on, one thing that's sure to keep going is the cycle of the seasons. Lots of these obviously fit into the seasons, but just for fun, we'll rank the seasons on their own little side tier list. Spring, summer, fall. Honestly, spring is probably at the bottom for me. It's starting to get warm, but not warm enough. It feels a bit muddy and just like a filler episode before summer. Now this is definitely too warm a lot of the time, but the nights are very pleasant to hang out without worrying about the temperature too bad. We'll go A tier. Now we kinda did fall already with the top and the bottom, but I think in all as a season, it stays at the top. And like I said, I do enjoy snow and winter a bit more, but just to make our list a nice line, we'll just put it in B. You can cut this off. All the seasons have nice value though, so Mother Nature, you don't have to get rid of any. And that wraps up our main topics before we get into the bonus weather. Sharknado, as in shark tornado? One of the coolest ideas ever. Enough said. True. S tier, the shower. This is purely man-made rain, which seems like it shouldn't be allowed, but it can feel really nice. A tier. Now the most iconic storm in all the solar system, Jupiter's red spot. This storm's been brewing for a few hundred years and simply looks very satisfying. S tier, the weatherman. Seems like a nice cool guy that loves to point at a green screen all day. Just like me. And while this guy just tells us the weather report, this guy is the weather report. Also S tier. And finally, we have the weather app. Not as personable as the other guys, and it's a little overcomplicated, but you can always depend on it when you're in an awkward situation. We'll go B tier. And that looks pretty complete to me. Did I not have an E tier? I guess that's fine. By watching this far, I know you agree with all my takes. So with that, we'll send it off to Mother Nature. Now we'll see what weather happens next, I guess. Thanks, channel members, and I guess you should subscribe.